Alright, how's it going guys? AlphaYGO back at it again, and today I'm bringing you something really cool. It's DIno Thunder, if you can already tell. DIno Thunder has fallen to the wayside, both Dinos and Thunders respectively, in like the most recent times, because the format has changed to where other variants of Thunder were more dominant, Lost World Dinosaur was a little more consistent, etc, etc. But I believe with the recent meta changes with the new promotins, I think that this deck is actually very functional in this format, where we can just drop and control the board with just a simple big dino, whether it be Conductor, Overtex, or even Pankratops, sitting with our Colossus and being able to just maintain the board state in our favor and then just OTK them in the following turn. So I think this deck is actually really fun, really cool, and without further ado, let's just jump right into the profile. Starting off our list, we of course have one of the best dinosaurs basically ever printed, Triple Oviraptor. Oviraptor is basically the Stratos and the Armageddon Knight of the deck. It does everything we want to. It will dump that Quatless, get us that double evolution pill, and facilitate all our plays. Following that, we only run 2 miscellaneous Saurus. I know miscellaneous Saurus not at 3 is very strange to see, considering we just got it off the ban list and we should be abusing it as much as possible. I think that in this list where it's a hybrid build, we only need 2, because it can be a little cloggy at 3 when our main plays aren't solely dinosaur plays. We're running a hybrid build, so we gotta cut corners in some areas, and I think 2 miscellaneous Saurus with the 1 Jirac Aeolo is just fine for this. Being able to protect our Oviraptor from getting hand trapped, even our Conductor from getting messed with, as well as being able to extend into that Aeolo and facilitating other plays, whether it be Link 2 or whatnot, I think is very invaluable, and I think 2 is enough. Following that, we run 1 Giant Rex. Giant Rex is one of those cards that bridges the gap between Thunder Dragon and dinosaurs, in my opinion, because off of double evolution pill, we can banish the Giant Rex and the Thunder monster and just get a free body off the Giant Rex and plus off the Thunder monster that was banished. So we can even create rank 4 plays off of that if our Oviraptor is still in the field, which is amazing. Following that, we have our big dinos, which consist of double Conductor. Again, unlike Lost World dinos, we can't run 3 because our deck can't just spit out multiple dinos over and over for Conductor as Lost World dino can, but double Conductor is more than enough because whether you hard draw it and you have enough dinos in grave to summon it, or we can just double evolution pill, of course, but 2 is more than enough for this. Following that is Overtex at 2. At 2 is, personally, it's very painful for me because I hate seeing this card in my hand with a passion, especially when I play dinos myself, but we do need 2 because the whole deck is based around that double evolution pill, so we want to be able to always dump 1 from the deck, get the double evolution pill, and we can even, in some matchups, when you're facing something like Striker or more back row heavy decks, you want to bring out that second Quatless instead of going for that Conductor, because it's going to pay off more in the long run. Not to mention, Overtex allows us where we can negate spells and traps by destroying itself, because it itself is a dinosaur. It will net us another double evolution pill and let us go for game the next turn. So I think sitting on Koalas is actually very strong. And although it hurts as a brick, running 2 is quite needed in this variant of the deck. And last but not least, we have Dino Pankratops, which acts as, of course, another double evolution pill target, a great going second card, searchable, and all around fantastic. I know the lineup is extremely weird, especially for you Lost World Dino players out there, and you're just probably like, this seems wrong in so many different ways, but I assure you that in this variant of this build, running these ratios is actually more beneficial to you than harmful. Following all this, we have our Thunder monsters, starting off with 3 Dark, 3 Roar, and 2 Hawk. In my opinion, the reason for these ratios, I guess a little brief explanation here, is banishing this off of pill is fantastic because we get to net dark and we get to link off that dark and get ourselves a Hawk. Hawk can obviously pitch itself to summon back that dark that we banished, go into our Colossus because we used the Hawk from hand. Simply, we can banish dark off of pill, just get us the Hawk straight away and just make a Colossus right there. It's just overall the value train of this is very powerful, and I think Dark and Roar are, the best ones to kind of hard see in your hand or send to your grave in order for you to just banish. But Hawk's banish effect isn't as amazing, so we only want to run 2 to be able to search it off and then discard it at the end of our plays. Moving on from there, we also run 1 Armageddon Knight, and this is a Dark Grepher, and I apologize that I have to proxy again, but Dark Grepher and Armageddon Knight both play very powerful roles in this deck. The fact that they can dump not only Overtex, but can also dump the Thunder Dragons. So all around, like, it's very powerful and helps bridge the deck together. And following that, we just run triple Ash Blossom. We kind of just want something to help us going second. Not to mention it's more non-dinosaur targets for our double evolution pill, but you'll usually be banishing a Thunder Monster anyways, but you know, it can come up. Ash is just the most generic hand trap right now, so I think just running it and squeezing in that ability to go second as well as first is important. Moving on to the spells, we have, of course, triple Fossil Dig. Following that, we have double evolution pill. I know I said this deck is solely based around this card, but we don't run it at 3 because 3 is a little cloggy, unfortunately, because this is a hard once per turn, and seeing multiples of it doesn't really do anything for you. Following that, we have Allure Darkness. Allure Darkness is obviously very powerful because we can obviously draw 2, and if we banish a Thunder Monster up there, we net even more value, which is fantastic. And following that, we also have triple Call by the Grave, because at the moment we're running this deck to go first, because I believe we can simply control the board very smoothly without using multiple summons to fall under Nibiru and etc, etc. I personally think that's more than enough to control the board at the moment, and with triple Call by the Grave, we allow ourselves to facilitate all our plays through without any problems. And following that, we run a bunch of 1-ofs. We have 1 Reinforcement Army for the 2 warriors. We also have Gold Sarcophagus, which is basically one of the best starter cards or extenders in this deck, where you can banish a Thunder Monster, get a bunch of resources, which is fantastic, or you can even just banish a Giant Rex to get that extra body. And following that, we also have Foolish Burial, whether we can send the Overtext, we can send Thunder Monsters to later Devolution Pill. It's very multi-purpose. And we also follow with the 1 Thunder Dragon Fusion, which acts as somewhat of the grind game card, in my opinion, where you can draw this later on or search it with Dark, and it facilitates you to not just lose if, you know, everything gets like sapped out of you. Drawing this or getting this basically means that you get to stay in the game. So I think running that 1 copy is useful. Moving on with the extra deck, we have, of course, triple Thunder Dragon Colossus, the big boy himself, one of the most dreaded cards to see on your opponent's field, where you basically look at your hand, and if you have any consistency cards that aren't just hard draw cards, you're just like, well, ain't this just really unfortunate. Following that, we also, of course, have Thunder Dragon Titan. Again, I apologize for the proxy, but we have a lot of extra deck space in this build, in my opinion. 3 is overkill. You don't really need the 3rd. If you wanted to, I guess we could, but you only need 2. It's just that we all know the power of Titan and the fact that it can just be the most annoying card out there, along with Colossus, of course. Just, you know, picking up hard boards and etc, being a giant monster on top of that. But after this point, I don't think there's many other obvious cards to play. There's so much liberty with the extra deck just because we're running dinos, and beyond this, we're not really needing too many other thunder based cards. Of course, if you want to squeeze in something like Instant Fusion, Kaminari Attack, you want to squeeze in a Summon Summoner, go for that as well. But in my opinion, this is the only thunder monsters you really need, and everything beyond this point is just icing on the cake. Speaking of icing on the cake, we have something like Starving Venom, which is a super poly target. I personally run super poly in this side, and I mean, Starving Venom is as generic as it gets, and you can run more targets or not run any targets at all and just not run super poly, but it's up to you to how you want to do it. Following that, we have this big boy like Link monsters. We have like Boral Sword and Boral Load. There are just some things that Boral Load can do that other cards just can't do, and I think it's worth playing. It's a little hard to make in this deck, but I think these are just like that final push or like those desperation plays. If they have something you can't out, you have Boral Load. If you just want to go for straight game but you don't have access to Conductor, you got Boral Sword. Again, there's just so much space in this deck, you can just do whatever you want. We run the Nightmare Phoenix because back row sucks and we just want to deal with back row. It's utility. We also run a Link Rebo. This, in my opinion, is really nice in the deck because it makes our Drak Aeola a little bit less weird to play with. Gets us that Dino Engrave if you just happen to like need it for Conductor, for example. It also like helps ensure that we won't get completely decimated on the next turn if they happen to be running OTK. So I think Link Rebo is a nice addition. Following that, we have this random rank force because Oviraptor plus Giant Rex can facilitate a lot of cool things. I think when your Thunder Dragon plays don't follow through as you'd like, you can potentially make a rank 4 with the Giant Dino, whether it could be Logia or Doka. I'm just running Logia in this example. You can run something like Tornado Dragon against when you're going first against back row decks, so you can like hit maybe like an important field spell or important key piece that they have. Or something like Dweller, because Dweller just shuts off a lot of decks. And the last 2 spots, well, I'm just leaving that up to interpretation because, again, there are so many options out there that I'm just like, this could be just about anything, and I think it's up to creative liberty at this point. I think a really cool choice would be something like Chambara. Chambara is really cool. The fact that it really solidifies your OTK potential. So we have, for examples of that, you can run something like Pentastag and Underclock for OTKing. You can run other like super poly targets, you know, whether it's Pendulum, Generic, Salamangreat, or if you want to get really weird with it, you can run something like Gustav Max, because Titan is a level 10 and Conductor is also a level 10. So you can make both, swing with both, and then just go into this guy and be like, GG. But with that said, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. I am finally over my cold/flu, and hopefully I came off a little more energetic in this video than my previous ones. But honestly, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys later.